blind and you want us drug. You want us poor while you get more of everything. But you don't get to tell me what to think and what to do. No, you don't get to tell me what is true. 'Cause you're just liars, cheats and crooks. Change the rules and you burn the books. And so I don't believe a single word you say. You're all liars, fakes and cons. Want you out and we want you gone. So don't believe this time you'll get away. You want us tricked, you want us numb. You want us scared and you want us dumb. You want us shocked and you want us bought in every way. You want our minds, you want our time. You want us framed up in your crimes. I hope you know that it's time to go and we're taking names. 'Cause you don't get to tell us what to think and what to do. No, you don't get to tell us what is true. 'Cause you're just liars, cheats and crooks. Change the rules and you burn the books. And so we don't believe a single word you say. You're all liars, fakes and cons. Want you out and we want you gone. So don't believe this time you'll get away. 'Cause we see la 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 all your lies. La 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 all your lies. You don't get to tell us what to think and what to do. You don't get to tell us what to think and what to do. You don't get to tell us what to think and what to do. 'Cause you're just liars, cheats and crooks. Change the rules and you burn the books. And so we don't believe a single word you say. You're all liars, fakes and cons. Want you out and we want you gone. So don't believe this time you'll get away. 'Cause we see la 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 all your lies. La 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 all your lies. 'Cause we're just liars, cheats and crooks. Change the rules and you burn the books. And so we don't believe a single word you say. 'Cause we're all liars, fakes and cons. Want you out and we want you gone. So don't believe this time you'll get away. We see la 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 all your lies. La 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 all your lies. 'Cause we see la 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 all your lies. La 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 all your lies. 'Cause we see la 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 all your lies. La 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 all your lies. 'Cause we see la 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 all your lies. La 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 all your lies.
Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome to the program. Hey, do me a favor. I know you want to give the system a double-barreled middle finger. Give the system just one finger. Please do me a favor. Share this program right now. Get your family, your friends, everybody involved. Today's program is going to be highly educational. It's going to be very revealing so you understand what's going on. And this is one you don't want to miss because I'm going to show you what's going on and how they're doing it. Because, you know, if you don't understand how the system does this to us, there is no way that you can fight back and or push back. It's all about information and truth. By the way, I do my program 7 days a week. You can tune in 7 a.m., 7 p.m. Central Standard Time is how I say it, 777, because we're all lucky to be here together. And then, of course, we have additional programming at noon. And on the weekend, sometimes we run marathons of everything we did the week before so you can catch up. I would highly recommend you consider making sure you follow the base program. If you're on Rumble right now, will you click follow? The reason is socialist media is at it again in an election season, clamping down on everything we do, trying to make sure people don't see it. You will always get the pure feed, the unobstructed feed at Rumble. So it's rumble.com/Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. And by the way, I've given you a download, and you can find that over at my locals. This is where we talk directly behind the scenes. We'll talk again today, right after this program. I've given you a 136-page download to show you what's going on so you can study it at your leisure. I'm showing you the blueprint. I'm showing you the plan. And I'm surprised even now how many people don't clearly see what's going on. It's just like your friends or family that might be extreme liberals, and you can't understand why the hell that they're going along with. You can't cut a wanker off a boy and call him a girl, or boobies off a girl and call him a boy, but they're still blindly following along because they think they're doing right. That's part of the, muckery that they do to all of us. And they lead people into their own demise. And that's what's going on. We're being led into our own demise. Real quick before we get started, let's talk about your money. It's very simple. Don't turn away. Most people don't want to talk about money or whatever, but I just want you to prepare, right? You got to be aware. You truly, truly just have to be aware. Okay? I just want you to be aware. And I want you to be clear, everybody listening right now. Today's program and many programs talk about scary things that could potentially affect you directly. And I'm going to change that word could to will. It's coming. Pay attention. And what you're going to see today, it's already in process, and it is going to affect you no matter what. There is no way you can escape it. If you want to turn your back on that, you're an adult, that's up to you. But this isn't an if anymore. So what you're going to do about this is up to you. That's your business. But when it comes to your money, imagine if your money was wiped out. You'd probably freak out, right? Here's an idea. And I've always said, if you're just going to be cautious, be cautious. But it may be changing rapidly. You know it. But just be prepared in case. Here's an idea. Look, you might just want to find out about why people protect themselves with gold and silver. I've got a website, very simple. It's not selling you anything there. It's just get the information. It's absolutely free, jovanlovesgold.com. All it does is show you how to get into precious metals, tax-free, penalty-free, even if your money's still in a retirement account, like an IRA or a 401k. Even if you tried to get your retirement account, they want to ding you 50%. This is the workaround. And I tell you, you've seen the writing on the wall. The bad thing about it is so many sayings don't apply anymore, right? Writing on the wall. We got the vomit on the wall, the crap on the wall, the puke on the wall, the turds on the wall, the blood on the wall, the brains on the wall. And yeah, I think our back's against the wall. So don't just kind of turn away. That's not going to help it. Consider going to jovanlovesgold.com, get your free gold and silver kit, because this is about control, your own control of your own privacy, your own control of your own freedom. I cannot predict the future, but today you better pay attention. I'm going to show you the future. And if you ignore it, that's totally up to you. Or you can prepare for it. You should prepare for it. And at the very least, you should be educated about your choices. So take action, defend your freedom, your privacy, your future. Go to jovanlovesgold.com, get your free gold and silver kit right now. I'm just asking you, don't ignore it. Don't think how many things we put off. Think about all the things you told your younger self you wanted to do, and here you are, your older self, and you're thinking, damn it, I never did it. It creeps up on you faster than you know. We're going to talk about something very hard, something that's in play, but it truly is how to conquer America. You might be wondering why I would even do a program called How to Conquer America, because it's an ancient tactic that is already in play right under our noses. Share this program. Let's get started.
Cut the crap. How many times a day do you want to say that to politicians, the elite, the loony liberals, the fake news media, and the gender-confused, emotional socialist snowflake crowd? Cut the crap is your secret weapon for fighting for our freedoms and our great republic. It all begins with a massive mental enema, freeing you from the toxic news and politically correct views, which constipate your consciousness with stinking thinking. Your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. He's known for calling out politicians and telling them to cut the crap. You've seen him on virtually every television network and listened to him on Coast to Coast Radio. And now he's here to help you learn to fight for America. Culture, race, and American politics. They all have one thing in common. They all need to cut the crap. Now, here's your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer.
Hey, folks, welcome to the program. Yes, it's crap. You're not going to like this crap, but we're going to be talking about how to conquer America. It's a philosophy called deconstructionism. The reason I can see the future about what patents need to happen is I'm a deconstructionist. I can look at everything, I can pull it all apart, see where it's headed, put something back new so we know where we need to go. By the way, just a public service announcement. When you come into my program in chat, flexing your bravado, oh, we just need to get our guns and sort it out. Number one, I want to let you know, you don't have the right to come into my program. And for all the thousands of people that get their information here thinking your little bravado is cool when all the rat bastards in the world that want to shut us down watch my program. So you don't have the right to do it. So what I do is I kind of issue a warning once. You see the comment, it gets deleted. Do it twice, you're gone. See, that's what the system wants. The system wants one weak-minded dumbass to get into chat. Oh, we got to get our guns. And what they do is they use that dumbass tool to block everybody else. Well, just so you know, in our program, we reject dumbassism. So please, stay focused on the topic. Keep your bravado to yourself. You may feel better when you typed it. But see, that's kind of the person that puts thousands and thousands and thousands of other people at risk. So it just kind of shows you're either immature or selfish or you're a bot. So don't do it. Don't do it. Because I think it's more important to save lives. I think it's more important to save lives and show people how to get out of this stuff than it is for the random people sitting at home in their camo playing, I'm going to be Rambo today. Look, no keyboard warriors don't need it. This is about focus. And I'm going to show you, right? I'm going to show you how to conquer America. Because here's the deal. If you don't understand how it's done, you can't defend against it. So you're going to have to think negative just a little bit to see the positive. You can't ignore the negative. It's a fact of life. You cannot ignore the negative. We're going to do a little bit of a journey of history, right? A little bit of a journey of history. And we're going to take a look at the world, and I'm going to show you a few things. That will help you kind of put everything that's going on into perspective. But first, I've got a question for you. Answer for me in chat. You've got a country you want to take over. Okay? You've been planning for it for a while. So let's say you got the sheriffs in your pocket, the police in your pocket, the judges in your pocket, the media airways in your pocket, all the stuff that's going on. But you're ready to pull the trigger. You're ready to be the conqueror. You're ready to beat the hell out of the people and finally take over. Now, what you need to do, you got to understand, it's very costly to prosecute a war. Very costly, right? $1 a bullet, millions, if not billions, per bombs and equipment. It's expensive. It's expensive to get your armies on the road and everything else. So let me ask you a question. If we had to look back at all the wars, look like it was World War I, World War II, whatever, any of them, it doesn't matter, throughout time, what was the most effective conquering weapon? What device or tactic or thing? What weapon? Hand grenades did the most, or bullets did the most? What was it? What was the number one device that either killed or conquered the most people throughout history? And now I want to let you know, it's hard to look at this stuff soberly. Hard. It's painful. And by the way, you're right. The most effective deployed weapon is propaganda, crapping in your cranium. But now I'm going to ask you to set that aside. See, I've already told you, you got the judges. I already said earlier, you've got the media, you've got the propaganda. It's done. Now you want to move in on the people. Now you want to move in on the people. You're ready. You've got them surrounded. You're ready to move in. Propaganda's done. Words are done. It's over. Now you're ready to move in and seize the people. What is the weapon? Put it in chat. What is the weapon? The single most effective weapon for conquering the most people throughout history. Right? And I'm being very serious, and I'm asking you to be serious. The number one weapon in the world all throughout time to take over people. We've already said they got the words. And if they've got the words, they've got the fear. Right? Now, here's where we sit today. We know they have the media. You know it, I know it. We know they have the healthcare institutions. We know they have the lawfare. We know they've got the judges. We know they've got, the police and the sheriffs, whatever. So they've got the words. And yes, they're going to turn your kids on you. But now there's one thing left that they have to do to take over. And so I see some of you are saying illegal army. That's already here. Some of you are saying divide and conquer. They've already done that. The number one most effective weapon of war to subjugate a people, even when those people are armed, food. We're going to talk about that. So you naturally think they've got to unarm us, and you're right. They're working to get rid of our arms. They're working to get rid of our Second Amendment. But the one thing that conquers the most people historically in the world is food. See, because if they can get control of your food, even if you have a gun, it's incredibly hard to fight because you have no strength and you have very little will. And if you know, they already attack our children, right? They want to make the little boys, little girls, the little girls, little boys. You fought against that. You have your family at home. You're not gonna let that happen. You've run a very great, tight, wonderful ship at home, have great kids. We'll call it biblical, whatever you want to call it. How can they get to you? Yeah. Starve you down. They'll get your kids. They'll get your kids one way or another. And so, just so you understand what we're going to talk about, and I want you to pay attention. If you want to conquer America, you've got to get control of the food. Now, what this is called starvation sieging. Siege starvation. It has been around forever. It has been absolutely around forever. Do you know it's happened in your lifetime? It's happened in your lifetime where siege starvation is deployed. Now, what's very funny of this, one of the ways to put this into effect. See, most people think it's armies. What is the number one item that will allow them to siege your food? So we now know food's going to be it. Now, what do they use in modern times? Used to be different in ancient times. I'm going to cover it. But in modern times, what is it they use to seize your food, to practice starvation siege? What is the weapon? What is the device? What is the tool? Put it in chat. Think about this. Right? Some say disease, right? Some people say they're going to make you register your garden. Some say it's inflation. Those are all, some say bioengineered food ingredients. What's the one tool they make it happen? Inflation, transportation. We're talking about famine. I want you to behold the most dangerous weapon in the world. Right there. And this is why so many people miss it. See, you think it's about, it's all these things. They got to get a hold of water. They got to get a hold of food. But we think about bombs and atomic bombs and everything else. We're past that. It's this right here. And they'll even tell you how powerful this is.
I learned, I think I was, 22 when I started that work. I learned that with the swipe of my pen, I could charge someone with the lowest level offense. And because of the swipe of my pen, that person could be arrested. They could sit in jail for at least 48 hours. They could lose time from work and their family maybe lose their job. They'd have to come out of their own pocket to help hire a lawyer. They'd lose standing in their community. All because of the swipe of my pen. Weeks later, I could dismiss the charges, but their life would forever be changed. So I learned at a very young age the power.
Well, we've been doing our lives, living our lives, taking care of our families. This little bitty device has been in play. And you might think about siege warfare is really far away and really ancient. It was practiced a lot during the Middle Ages, but it's actually going on right now. Just a lot of people aren't putting it together.
نهائيا القمح مختفي والطحين مختفي والشعير مختفي. أكل الحمير أكلناه وأكل البهايم أكلناه وعلى الفاضي وهالوقت ما فيش أكل. وبنعيش على وجبة، نص وجبة من القمح من الذرة، نص وجبة رغيف صغير، والولاد بيتدوروا جوا على البحر من البيت من سياح، من عياط الولاد من سياح. لما بشوف بتقطع بطني، أنا بصبر على وجبة واحدة. طب الأطفال ما بدنا سيد، بدنا أكل، سيد بدنا أكل، من وين أجيب لكم أكل؟ فيش في السؤال. المصاري هالوقت لا توجدي، يعني لو جبت معه في عندي $1,000,000 مش ملاقي حاجة أكل. الفلوس ما لهاش قيمة عندنا صار، وما فيش عمل، ما فيش حتى فيش فلوس في المنطقة. من وين؟ 5 شهور هالوقت لا شغل ولا راس.
His grandchildren are screaming. He has to leave the house because it's so sad to hear them screaming for food. They ate up the donkey feed because that's all that was left. Now they've eaten through the donkey feed. There's nothing else. He said, even if I had $1 million in my pocket, I can't do anything. And yes, I stopped because now they've eaten the donkey. But it's all done by design.
أنا الآن أمام وزارة الشؤون الاجتماعية. أغلب المساعدات الإنسانية والمواد الغذائية تأتي على هذا المكان. فالمواطنين والنازحين يأتوا على هذا المكان ويطلبوا من رجال الشرطة إنهم يدخلوا داخل هذا المكان ويأخذوا القليل من المواد الغذائية. فرجال الشرطة تمنعهم إنهم يدخلوا، والنازحين بقولوا إنه ما فيش طعام يسد جوعهم ولا جوع أطفالهم. تتدخل رجال الشرطة وبتضرب المواطنين والنازحين وبتطلق عليهم النار زي ما انتم شايفين.
Well, the food's there. See, I just want you to see it's closer than you think. Because even though all the food is being sent over to Gaza, Hamas is not allowing it to the people. Because, see, the system needs the people to starve, people dying in the streets, people begging, so they can keep feeding the media propaganda, so the media propaganda can keep on saying Israel bad, so the people that are controlling the people of Gaza keep getting donations. We're just pawns. All of us, whether we like it or not, we are pawns. Now, some people say, yeah, we need to depopulate. I always tell people that if that's your thought, then what you should do is volunteer your family and relatives first. Be a person of your words. Proof's in the pudding, baby. But it's really easy to throw out there, we need to depopulate. By the way, food's not our problem, and I'm going to show you that. But see, they've told you food is our problem. They told you population is our problem. But there's always unintended consequences when the system gets involved in doing it. And that's why we're going through a modern siege warfare. Give an example. Let me show you Zimbabwe. Yep. Right now in Zimbabwe, you got a ruler. What's his name? Mugabe, Robert Mugabe. He's a tyrant. And he basically went in and took the mantra, ready? Pay attention. White supremacy. He basically came in and said that everything that is wrong with the world is because of white people. And when he came into power, he basically sold to the black Zimbabweans that everything that was wrong with their country could be fixed if we just got rid of the white people. Now, interestingly enough, he said it because it's not fair. It's white supremacy. It's colonialism. And it's white people. And we have no equity. And we're not getting our equal share. Well, that country right now is dying. But what they did under the name of democracy is they made it okay for black people to go take it out on white farmers. And so black people got in the streets because it's not fair. It's not equitable. These white colonialists are taking over. They took everything from you. Look at what you have and have not. Now, his massive reign of terror was 2000 to 2005. Of course, we're not sitting there. But why am I telling you? Because they always practice their warfare in places. They learn everything about it. Think of it as a controlled social experiment. And then they roll it out. It's kind of interesting that after this colonialism, white supremacy, which started there, that during the Obama term, we got it here. And now what do people say? Those white people are evil. They're the source of what's wrong with us. Let me show you a little bit about this version of starvation siege.
The farmers that are utilizing the land at the moment, if you take the land away from them without compensating them, where would they go? What would they do? They have to have capital to start up a new venture. If you take ownership away from people, you're going to lose all your international investments. People are not going to invest in a country where you can't own something. Ownership is the base of any economic growth.
Mr. Ramaphosa wants to create wealth because there are poor people, it's true. And it is true that he wants to create jobs in the agricultural sector, but you're not going to do it through land expropriation. In wanting to create wealth, and then you destroy the one section that is going to create the wealth.
Democracy in action is how the South African President Cyril Ramaphosa calls his efforts to change the constitution to allow for land expropriation without compensation. He announced this week he was increasing efforts to do this so that agricultural production, people's access to land, and just and equitable redistribution are increased. What this means is that the few thousand white commercial farmers in South Africa will lose their land and receive no money for it. Under apartheid, most black South Africans were not allowed to own land, with the result that even today, the country's white minority still has a disproportionate hold over farms. When Nelson Mandela's African National Congress took power in 1994, it vowed that by the year 2000, 30% of land would be returned to black owners. But even today, that has not happened, with white farmers still holding the overwhelming majority.
If you take away those role players and you replace them with people that has no knowledge and has no experience, we are going to produce a lot less. And if we produce less food, the food prices will go up, and that will harm the people that's on the bottom of the food chain, the people that's struggling to survive at the moment. If you have less food, the price will go up and they will struggle even more to survive.
In recent months, there's been growing anger against the South African government by the country's black majority over the slow pace of land reform. But critics warn that the government's plans to expropriate land could lead to land grabs, like what happened in neighboring Zimbabwe, where the economy collapsed after land reform was implemented. Still, South Africa's president insists that most people here want to see expropriation without compensation become part and parcel of the constitution. Paul Islier, RT, Ermelo, South Africa.
Now, I want you to think about that for a moment. Massive genocide of white farmers. You now have massive starvation, and the people like in Zimbabwe are begging for the white farmers to come back. Come back. We have no food. Nobody knows how to grow. Did you catch that they say it's democracy in action? It's what democracy promises. Did you catch that? Pay attention.
A democracy is a political system.
By the way, when I've always told you it's words, did you hear her say, even with everything that happened, the citizens want land expropriation, meaning taking it with no compensation? They want it written into the Constitution that if the government decides you're bad or not fair, they can take what you own and redistribute it. They're about to write it into their Constitution. That's the brainwashing part of it.
A democracy is a political system in which the people periodically, by majority vote at the polls, select their rulers. The rulers then have absolute power to make whatever laws they please by majority vote among themselves. In a constitutional republic, the people also, by majority vote at the polls, select rulers, who make laws by majority vote among themselves. But the rulers cannot make any laws they please because the Constitution severely restricts their lawmaking power. The ideal of a democracy is universal equality. The ideal of a constitutional republic is individual liberty. In this century, great strides have been made toward the goal of subverting our republic and transforming it into a democracy. The foremost tactic of the subverters is subversion of language. By calling America a democracy until people thoughtlessly accept and use the term, totalitarians have obscured the real meaning of American principles of government. The writers of the Constitution were anxious to safeguard liberty against dictatorship, monarchy they called it. But their chief anxiety was to protect the country against democracy. Edmund Randolph, delegate to the Constitutional Convention from Virginia, said the general object of the convention was to provide a cure for the follies and fury of democracy. Elbridge Gerry and Roger Sherman, delegates from Massachusetts and Connecticut, urged the Constitutional Convention to create a system to eliminate the evils that flow from the excess of democracy. Alexander Hamilton, delegate from New York, said, "We are now forming a Republican government. Real liberty is not found in democracy. If we incline too much to democracy, we shall soon shoot into a monarchy." John Adams, one of the giants of the American Revolutionary period, said, "Democracy will envy all, contend with all, endeavor to pull down all. And when by chance it happens to get the upper hand for a short time, democracy will be revengeful, bloody, and cruel." America was founded not as a democracy, but as a constitutional republic. We pledge allegiance to the republic for which our flag stands, not to a democracy. The Constitution requires a republican form of government for all states, but does not mention democracy, and neither does the Declaration of Independence or the Bill of Rights. Someone asked him what kind of government the convention had given America, and Franklin replied, "A republic, if you can keep it." Very old and very wise, Franklin saw through the mists of time to the day when Americans might trade their freedom in a constitutional republic for the promise of government guaranteed equality and security in a democracy. And beyond that, to the day when democracy inevitably degenerates into dictatorship, guaranteeing nothing but poverty and serfdom for the people it robs and rules.
And there I showed you a country bragging about, we're going to write, we can take your stuff away in our Constitution. And they're practicing democracy. This is the way democracy works. Now, do you understand that word con, why they keep on pushing on that, why they must keep pushing democracy. And this is how it's done, because it is about pens and words. But the problem is, folks, the pens and the words have already been deployed. Let me show you a chart. This is what shows where food consumption is compared to where food growth and storage is. Now, if it's red, that means you're really high on the consumption side. That's North America. Now, if you're in the greens, if you're the really dark green, it means you're high on the production side. The light green means you have a lot of handling and storage. Now, just on the face of this, I want you to understand that super high consumption part is North America. That's us, folks. But I just showed you how Africa's starving. It's all synthetic because, see, on the far right is Sub-Sahara and Africa. But you see how much more they grow and how much more they store. Well, how can you have all this food growing and all this storage and people begging the farmers to come back? It's because it's a design. And it is a design that is now coming to our shores, and it's in full-fledged deployment right now. And that's why I'm showing you how to conquer America, because there is an ancient tactic that is already in play on us, folks. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. You're going to be appalled at what you see and how it's already in play. Be right back.
This crazy world is telling you your sons can be daughters and your daughters can be your sons. When will the madness stop? Never. So you have to decide, will you comply or defy? They tell us all, you will own nothing, eat bugs, and be happy. Is this why America's largest food processing plants and food supply plants keep burning down? Do you really think this is a coincidence? Of course not. The system is telling us right to our faces what they have planned for us. You have a choice. Comply or simply defy their plan for us all. Defy the system's plan and execute your own plan. Abundant, safe, secure natural food supply. Introducing the Food Forest Bible. This bestseller by Jovan Hutton Pulitzer is the single most complete, executable, easy-to-follow plan for sustainable, self-managing food production for self-sufficiency and food security. For the first time ever, a coffee table, heirloom quality full color book which unlocks the ancient secrets of creating a food forest. Imagine planting in a way which requires no digging, no pesticides, and creates massive ancient food abundance. No fooling. Food forests are the ancient secret to planning and planting once. And have your own Garden of Eden, which will feed your families for decade after decade. Buck the system. Buck the New World Order and order your very own copy of Jovan Hutton Pulitzer's Food Forest Bible. Learn how to create a sustainable, self-managing, natural food production for self-sufficiency and food security for your family. Side yard, small yard, backyard, backlot, or even lots of acres, the Food Forest Bible works for everyone. Order on Amazon, hardcover, softcover, or ebook. Don't comply. Expertly defy the system.
Now, there are people out there defying the system because they know this is coming. They know that it's doing to us. And I just want to say, give you a shout out to all of you guys. Thank you for sending me your incredible photos where you have our Food Forest Bible. These are people that understand what's coming, that understand the government's doing it to us, that understand that if they don't take care of themselves and their families, everybody is going to get hurt. Now, I've always talked in my program, I'm about solutions. But you have to understand how the system creates it, so you understand how to solve it. And that's why we did the Food Forest Bible. You got paperback, hardback, etc. The hardbound is massive. I did it so you can take it outside, but it's coffee table quality, 544 pages. Super high color. You made it a bestseller. But we did it because if this is the weapon they're killing us with, this is the weapon you can counter deploy. Because it's never like people think. It is all about what they do with their freaking pens.
I learned, I think I was, 22 when I started that work. I learned that with the swipe of my pen, I could charge someone with the lowest level offense. And because of the swipe of my pen, that person could be arrested. They could sit in jail for at least 48 hours. They could lose time from work, and their family maybe lose their job. They'd have to come out of their own pocket to help hire a lawyer. They'd lose standing in their community. All because of the swipe of my pen. Weeks later, I could dismiss the charges, but their life would forever be changed. So I learned at a very young age the power.
The power of the pen. Now, here's the report. And I gave this to you for a download over Locals, 136 pages. What they're doing is they're going after the places in red to drastically reduce their red. But if you look at the two opposite spectrums of this, the red, that's the United States, regarding consumption. The right, dark green, is where it's grown. Light green is where it's stored, meaning they have big storehouse. You see, in America, we consume. On the left, we have very little storage. This is all a plan. But right now, let me tie it together for you. I just need you to hang on, because you don't want to cut out and not have these facts. Right now, brand new report put out. Hundreds of millions of people on the verge of starvation. Billions more are undernourished as climate crisis, droughts take their toll. Now, billions of people are starving right now. It is the single largest lack of food globally in modern times. Okay? In modern times. It's literally unprecedented proportions. Now, you see our consumption. The light green on the left, that's our storage capacity in the United States of America. Left is United States, right is Africa. Now, right now, they're reporting that between 3.1 billion and 4.2 billion people right now cannot afford a healthy diet. Now, that's really interesting. They cannot afford a healthy diet. This comes from the United Nations World Food Program. Now, what they're saying also is that here's what's driving it: conflicts, economic shocks, climate extremities, and soaring fertilizer prices are combining to create a food crisis of unprecedented proportions. As many as 309 million people are facing chronic hunger in 71 countries. They go on to say, we have a choice: act now to save lives, invest in solutions that secure food security, stability, and peace for all, with getting rid of hunger, right? And they said 70% of the world's people are living in hunger. Now, what's their solution? Go back to the chart. On the left, red stands for consumption. So you see, America bad. That's the big consumer. because look how little we grow compared to our consumption, and look how far little we store. That's the light green. Now you go to the right, that's Africa. Africa has a massive overabundance. Massive overabundance. So how are they going to solve it? How are they going to solve this? Well, if you read the reports, you have to understand they say this has happened because the world is the hottest it's ever been on record. And that 42% of the world's population can't even afford the minimum nutrition requirements because of climate. And fertilizers through the roof, but yet they outlawed and they shut down the single largest production plants in the world during COVID. By the way, they did this during COVID. They shut down the largest global manufacturer of fertilizers. And they did it on purpose. Why? Because they have created a crisis. They have created a crisis. And now with this article, they're saying, we got it all wrong. It's going to be even hotter. And saying, we can't support this. We can't support this. And so we need to regulate this. Let's look at this regulation. By the way, this stroke of the penism and regulations going on every country right now simultaneously. It's kind of interesting. A conflict part pops up. Oh, we can't. It's kind of like the FBI when they tried to, our Secret Service, when they tried to assassinate Trump. We can't get on those buildings. They're too steep. That would be dangerous. Oh, we can't get into these conflict countries and give them their seeds or sell them their seeds.
There's no doubt that there's a real attack on farmers happening on every corner of this planet, which logically poses one very obvious question.
If you get rid of the farmers, you still need to eat something, especially protein, right?
Maybe they don't want the food production like it is right now. I mean, we produce potatoes, and we produce milk, and we produce meat, and maybe there's a government who doesn't want us to eat anymore that kind of food.
Instead turn to what?
Oh, insects, bugs, I don't know.
Today, the European Commission has officially declared mealworms to be food. It could be a game changer for insect farmers. They're now hoping to grow their businesses and turn insects into another source of protein for Europeans, even if just a niche one.
There's this top-down globalist idea that certain Western countries have diets that they do not approve of. In other words, they're more meat-based, and they feel that humans don't need meat-based protein. And they want to either force people to follow their paradigms, or they want to buy or accumulate farmland, and that's how they're going to farm it. It's sort of like the Soviet Union or Mao's Cultural Revolution. It's top-down, and it results in disasters.
The UN Food and Agriculture Organization in 2013, they put out this very bizarre report, and they said we need Westerners to start eating bugs, right? And that wasn't on anybody's radar. We didn't eat bugs. That's disgusting. And so they said we need a massive propaganda campaign in the media to convince them that they're going to save the planet. Well, we're seeing that. NPR, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, the BBC, even Fox News, right? They've been peddling this idea that bugs are delicious and nutritious. Now you got all these celebrities eating bugs and teaching people that it's trendy and cool to eat bugs. And as we speak, they are right now building the largest insect protein processing facility on the planet outside Decatur, Illinois. They're building another one up in Canada. They know there's not really demand for bugs right now, right? How many Americans do you know that are clamoring for cricket sandwiches, right? Practically none. And so I expect that as these food shortages develop, as the price of staples goes through the roof, people will say, okay, I'm really hungry. My kids are really hungry. I can't afford a steak anymore. So, all right, I'll eat your stupid crickets.
So why will any investor, and you're right, you're thinking, what the hell, outside Decatur, Illinois? Imagine that in Obama land. Why would investors spend billions to build the single largest bug processing protein plant in the world? What enables them to do it? It's because you've got to understand they've already done it. See, many people think there's a fallacy that they can't do this. They're never going to do it. We're not going to eat bugs. You don't understand. They've already done it. They're already spending billions. They did it with the stroke of a pen. This isn't what could happen, folks. This is what is happening. And they have deployed this ancient tactic already. This is not hypothetical. This is all part and parcel of them taking over United States of America with the election of 2020 and why they did it. We told you this was a countdown to chaos. That's why we did the book. Another #1 bestseller. It has so little to do with Trump and Biden. Yeah, they're on the cover, but that's not what it's about. We tell you everything backwards. The names, the people, the agreements, everything. You see it for yourself. They are only executing on a plan. A plan for every one of us. Now, here's some of the facts you might not know about this concept before I'm going to show you even more pieces. This concept of what's called starvation siege. Starvation siege. Leningrad, back during World War II, was one of the most industrially sophisticated cities in the world. Leningrad, big, huge, massive metropolis, right? And of course, the Germans came into Leningrad. They wanted to take over Leningrad. And so Hitler gave a directive, we're going to take over Leningrad. Now, I want you to understand that bullets and bombs killed 50,000 civilians. Bullets and bombs killed 50,000 civilians. And by the way, on this bug thing, they've steadily been working it into our food supply. It's already there. Because when they flip the switch, they'll tell you it's okay. You've been eating parts of it all along. It's no big deal. That's how they make it invisible. Just real quick, you understand they're pushing billions and billions and billions of our dollars to Ukraine, right? You know that. Got a riddle for you. Pop quiz. What is the Ukraine known for? The Ukraine is what to the world? And you're right, Zod. They're putting bugs in the food very slow so people don't notice it. You're right, folks. The Ukraine is the bread basket of the world. It is where the most and the best wheat in the world is grown. Now, see, the bad governments don't tell you that. They try to make you think that Putin's trying to get control of it. That's not true. Putin's trying to make sure it doesn't get into the evil hands control, which they're doing by shutting it down. Now, why do they need to shut down wheat? You'll understand in a minute. Don't leave, because I'm going to give you the numbers. But do you think it's any coincidence that that conflict, where our government put bioweapons, where Putin goes in to shut down the bioweapons because he doesn't want them, and he's trying to fight to keep wheat production there because it's the bread basket of the world, while our country wants to be known as the weed basket of the world. Our priorities are upside down. And yes, Zod, many places, they've already approved cricket protein in flour products as the protein additive. Now you think about it. Go back. Why have they spent billions on manufacturing plants when there's no market for it? It's because there is a market for it, folks, because they already did it. You have to understand that. They have already done it. Now, do you think all of this is just coincidence that we're gonna manufacture meat, cow farts are bad, tax the cows? I told you this years ago when they said, no, we're not going to tax the cows and stuff. I showed you it came. All of it is by design. I'm just trying to wake everybody up because you can't fight it if you don't know about it. And by the way, mealworms are supposed to be great. Go into a Tractor Supply. Buy a bag of mealworms for your chickens. They love them. They're great. But that damn bag, about this big, is $70 to $90. It's all a con that we're in the middle of right now. But let me go back to Leningrad, just so you understand how this is done, because it's practice. See, the Luftwaffe, the Nazis only killed 50,000 people in Leningrad with artillery. And 50,000 people were killed by 2,500 high explosive incendiary bombs and 75,000 bombs dropped on the city. Now, I want you to do some math. We know these bombs are $1 million a piece, even more now. But let's just use World War II prices. 2,500 high-impact incendiary bombs, high explosive bombs, 75,000 conventional bombs. And what they did, enemy fire, eventually killed 50,000 civilians. Now, if you just do the simple math, I want you to understand that is wildly not economical if we were killing machines, right? And we just basically deployed 78,000 very expensive bombs, and we only killed 50,000 people. That doesn't make sense. But they had a problem. They had a problem after they did all that bombing in Leningrad. There were just over 3 million people there. And they wanted the city. So what did they do? They carpet bombed the city. They shot everything up. What did they actually do? Well, what they did is they proceeded to engage in what is called starvation siege. Now, starvation siege, it's been practiced forever. They went after food and water. That's it, food and water. Now, you'll add electricity to that. But what they did is they got a hold of what was called the road of life. Now, the road of life was how everything came in and out of the city, how all the people got fed. Let me take you back to this chart. Look at the left. That's the United States of America. Let me see if I can zoom this up for you guys. Hang on. I'm gonna get a better picture. Let's see. Where is it? Here. Drag it over here. Pump that sucker up. Pump it up. Pump it. Okay. Let me get here. I'm gonna go back to here because I want you to focus on the US of A. Okay. This is us. And I should probably even pump that up again. Let me get, oops. I'm going to give you a better look because a lot of you are looking on small screens. Let me go here and do it this way. Okay. This is the United States. So we're the big evil consumptor of this stuff. We chew it up. This is how the numbers break down. But we have such very, very, very small, what is technically called handling and storage. Now, if we compare to a country right now where they say they're starving their asses off, here's Africa. They grow so much food, it's nuts, and they store so much food, it's nuts, compared to the United States of America. But yet this country's starving. Now, why is that country starving? Because they use Africa and its out of control society and its corrupt nature as the test bed for what they want to do to us. So Hitler decides he's going to practice starvation siege on Leningrad. They got 3 million people in the city that aren't capitulating, that are not capitulating. Think of us in a siege. Think about how much storage. And by the way, the only reason our light green and storage is as high as it is because they combine it with handling. Our storage is almost crap. But anyway, so Hitler practices this medieval tactic, which is outlawed in every country. But Hitler had to get around it. It's been outlawed for a very long time. And so what he did is he immediately put all of the city, he shut down all the traffic. He shut down all of the road of life that brought everything into the city. And he began to starve people. Now, I'm going to give you some of the numbers real quick. Where 77,000 bombs killed 50,000 people, Hitler's starvation siege killed 600,000 people. Working only on the food. Working only on the food. Hitler killed 600,000 people. And all it took, pens, a little bit of army and roadblocks, working within the confines of the laws because it was illegal. Now, how did he get around the law? Well, starvation sieging is illegal. Geneva Convention, everything else. Every country's agreed on that. So Hitler made sure that every child, right, or elderly got fed. We're going to take a piece of bread. We're going to cut it in half. Whether you cut it at a diagonal, cut that. Don't dare cut your crust off. You need it. But if you took a regular slice of bread and you cut it in half, you got one piece for the top, one piece for the bottom. The equivalent food handed out to the people was 3 of those pieces per day. 3 of those pieces per day. The death rate accelerated where they'd been fighting for so long. He got those 600,000 people wiped out in 5 months. In 5 months. People started eating leaves. It happened to be a city that made petroleum jelly. People started eating petroleum jelly. They started eating the glue from wallpaper. All the household pets were eaten. Everything. And of course, they had no power, so they burn up their libraries. They burn up their belongings. Thousands of people were also executed for cannibalism. Now, this is what's called starvation siege. And technically, it is against the law. But right now, with even all of this storage in Africa of massive amounts of foods, they claim under global warming, we have a crisis. We need to fix it by, well, we got to change farming, but yet they have all these supplies. So why are the people there starving? Because they're put on rations. Now, you may think this is distant from you because right now we got so many damn ghosts to chase, right? We have so many things to think about. And you think we're suffering now. The suffering hasn't started yet. Don't go away. I'll be right back.
This crazy world is telling you your sons can be daughters and your daughters can be your sons. When will the madness stop? Never. So you have to decide, will you comply or defy? They tell us all, you will own nothing, eat bugs, and be happy. Is this why America's largest food processing plants and food supply plants keep burning down? Do you really think this is a coincidence? Of course not. The system is telling us right to our faces what they have planned for us. You have a choice. Comply or simply defy their plan for us all. Defy the system's plan and execute your own plan. Abundant, safe, secure natural food supply. Introducing the Food Forest Bible. This bestseller by Jovan Hutton Pulitzer is the single most complete, executable, easy-to-follow plan for sustainable, self-managing food production for self-sufficiency and food security. For the first time ever, a coffee table, heirloom quality full color book which unlocks the ancient secrets of creating a food forest. Imagine planting in a way which requires no digging, no pesticides, and creates massive ancient food abundance. No fooling. Food forests are the ancient secret to planning and planting once. And have your own Garden of Eden, which will feed your families for decade after decade. Buck the system. Buck the New World Order and order your very own copy of Jovan Hutton Pulitzer's Food Forest Bible. Learn how to create a sustainable, self-managing, natural food production for self-sufficiency and food security for your family. Side yard, small yard, backyard, backlot, or even lots of acres, the Food Forest Bible works for everyone. Order on Amazon, hardcover, softcover, or ebook. Don't comply. Expertly defy the system.
Just in case you didn't know it, thanks, Kay, for doing it. By the way, cricket powder is cheddar protein and the list of ingredients. It's already there, folks. And this is all being done by the stroke of a pen. It's already here. But it's already here if you agree to comply. Now, most people, okay, I'm telling you about, it's been around since ancient times, biblical times. It's been perfected throughout war. It has killed more people in the world than all bombs, guns, ever. But yet people ignore it. People think it's simple because we take food for granted. Well, we got set up. We totally got set up. But most people think this is far away. Crude words coming up. If you get offended at crude words, cover your ears. But I think people are getting fed up.
Fucking cunts. They're the people that grow your food, goddammit. Wake up. Wake up to why anybody would do that. What fucking government would fuck with the farmers? What government would make it harder on the farmers? You're telling me that that's your number one problem is the farmers? How much crime do you have? How many murders? How many thieves? How many rapists? How many child molesters? How many swindlers? How many people that are ripping people off? How many credit card fraudsters do you have out there? And you're going after farmers? There's no way that's positive.
But it's a controlled demise and destruction right under our noses. Everything's already been written and planned.
There's no doubt that there's a real attack on farmers happening on every corner of this planet, which logically poses one very obvious question.
If you get rid of the farmers, you still need to eat something, especially protein, right?
Maybe they don't want the food production like it is right now. We produce potatoes, and we produce milk, and we produce meat. And maybe there's a government who doesn't want us to eat anymore that kind of food.
Instead turn to what?
Oh, insects, bugs, I don't know.
Today, the European Commission has officially declared mealworms to be food. It could be a game changer for insect farmers. They're now hoping to grow their businesses and turn insects into another source of protein for Europeans, even if just a niche one.
There's this top-down globalist idea that certain Western countries have diets that they do not approve of. In other words, they're more meat-based, and they feel that humans don't need meat-based protein. And they want to either force people to follow their paradigms, or they want to buy or accumulate farmland, and that's how they're going to farm it. It's sort of like the Soviet Union or Mao's Cultural Revolution. It's top-down, and it results in disasters.
The UN Food and Agriculture Organization in 2013, they put out this very bizarre report, and they said we need Westerners to start eating bugs, right? And that wasn't on anybody's radar. We didn't eat bugs. That's disgusting. And so they said we need a massive propaganda campaign in the media to convince them that they're going to save the planet. Well, we're seeing that. NPR, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, the BBC, even Fox News, right? They've been peddling this idea that bugs are delicious and nutritious. Now you got all these celebrities eating bugs and teaching people that it's trendy and cool to eat bugs. And as we speak, they are right now building the largest insect protein processing facility on the planet outside Decatur, Illinois. They're building another one up in Canada. They know there's not really demand for bugs right now, right? How many Americans do you know that are clamoring for cricket sandwiches, right? Practically none. And so I expect that as these food shortages develop, as the price of staples goes through the roof, people will say, okay, I'm really hungry. My kids are really hungry. I can't afford a steak anymore. So, all right, I'll eat your stupid cricket.
It's all force. I saw a question in chat. The Food Force Bible comes in 3 formats. You have hardbound. I do hardbound because this is more like a coffee book heirloom as well, because you'll actually plan your own Food Force Bible in the back. We have planning sections in it. And so you'll sit down with your family and plan it out. And because these things can feed you for decades, right? The oldest one in the world is over 4,000 years old. I show you all kinds of plans of other ones that were done, but it's a full color book, a really big full color book. There's no difference between the hardbound book, the softbound book, and the ebook. Except I did a hardbound book because you can take it out to the garden and you can work with it and you're not going to destroy it. A big portion of the book is to help you understand what the hell happens, because you got to get away from fertilizers and poisons. They're killing the bugs too. I actually teach you the bugs that God put there for a reason. And you might stomp on these thinking it's a pest eating your plant, and it's not. It's eating these little bitty shits that eat your cabbage and stuff, right? They're necessary. So I teach you all of it. So I do hardbound because when I'm working in the garden, you know, you're going to sweat, you're going to do whatever. It just, you'll eventually muck up a paper-bound book. But I do have a paper-bound book, much cheaper, because this is a very expensive book to publish. By the way, if you had it and wanted to print it in a Kinko's, it'd cost you over $500 just to print one book, right? But I do have a paperback. And then I have the ebook version as well, which is great. But I always think to myself, okay, if everything is going shitty and power go down, what the hell good is an ebook going to do you? Right? But remember, the key to a food forest is the oldest one in the world has been feeding its population for 4,000 years. 4,000 years. This is the way God made it. That's why I went back in time. And it's also why I even called it the Food Forest Bible, although some people get pissed at that. This is it. Nobody had ever put it together in one place. Most of the books are shipped out almost immediately, right? Most of them get shipped within about 36 to 48 hours, by the way, right? Because we're already in production and doing it. But here's the deal. Most people think, you know, there are people out there all over the place. That's why it became a best-selling book. You know this is coming. And by God, you're just not going to let it happen to your family. And you got grandparents doing it. They're sitting down with their grandkids and planning this out, right? If you don't take care of your self, the only thing left is maybe the government do it, right? The only thing left. And we didn't do spiral bound books because they get destroyed too easy. Period. And you're learning things. You're learning. And somebody put it in chat, and I'm just going to show you real quick. You're learning things about, you know, I hate wasp. I got stung on the nipple the other day. Oh my God, those big ass looking bumblebee things. I was out walking the property because we're about to do some big logging up on the mountains. I didn't tuck my damn shirt in. Freaking bee stung my belly button hole and then stung my left freaking nipple. Just below my nipple. And I'm talking welted up. Anyway. So I hate bees. But the reason I say this, let me see if I can find this one real quick. Here you go. You know, you see these things and you think, damn it, that's a yellow jacket, right? No, it's not. That one finds the caterpillars that are eating your cabbage and stuff, flies to the head of the caterpillar, stings it. But when it stings it, it's actually injecting eggs. And the caterpillar kind of, you know, feels stung for a day or two. And then about 2 days later, 3 days later, the caterpillar erupts in baby wasp. Yeah. God made these things for us to deal with it. Carla says, I need to put some tobacco on it. Okay, Carla, are you a smoker? But see, people are hedging their bets. They know this is coming. They know this is coming. Right? But how close is this to you? You want to know where this stroke of the pen crap's going on?
So we've got devastation going on in Denver. They're looking to abolish the processing plants and fur trade going on located in the city. Now, Superior Farms has been there for over 70 years. It's an employee-owned processing plant, and this is going to take out over 170 jobs with good benefits and good wages. Not to mention the devastation it's going to take on all the local ranchers and the farmers that run their animals through there each year. 500,000 lambs is a lot of lambs, and that's a lot of fur and a lot of meat supplied locally to the community. We need to stand up against this and make sure it doesn't happen.
That's one plant that's been targeted. Thanks for the tobacco tips, folks. I'll check it out. That's one plant, one city that's been targeted. But in the name of save the environment and save people or whatever, and that's Denver. Do you understand how many farms it wipes out? It's going on everywhere, folks.
They're planning on making a battery plant for electric vehicles. They're taking farmers' land to do this. Expropriation is when the government says, here's a little bit of money, take it, we're going to take your land. And if you don't take it, we're still going to take your land. So what's happened now? Well, the farmers decided we're still going to plant our crops. It's still our land. Here in Canada, we have farmer protections where if you plant a crop, you have every right to harvest that crop. Well, the government doesn't care. They hired a third-party company to come in and destroy it. The crops were only a couple weeks away from harvest. That's 2.8 million pounds of grain. That's 2.5 million boxes of cornflakes. Garbage. All that food completely destroyed in a world where people are starving. Farmers feed cities. And if this attack on farmland keeps continuing, I'm a little bit concerned about the future. So what can you do? Share this video. We need to shine a light on these cockroaches. They're destroying our food. They don't care. This needs to be stopped. No farmers, no food, no future. Follow this page for more updates.
That's the deal, folks. But you see how they wrap it in, we got to save the environment. Every single country, all of these countries with high red, every one of them are under attack.
Yeah, I can't get planning permission. Maybe I should buy an apron and join the Masons. I don't know what you have to do, but I simply can't get planning permission for anything. Which is infuriating, but it's not just me, as it turns out. I thought it was, but farmers up and down the country are saying the same thing. It's, as I'm sure you know, Tom, the basic farm payment scheme is being reduced dramatically. Mine's gone down from 80,000 to 60,000, goes down to 40,000 next year, and will eventually go to nothing at all. And the government has told farmers to diversify, to think of other ways of making money and not just to rely on taxpayer assistance. So I thought, okay, fine, I'll open a shop, I'll open a restaurant and sell my produce there. At local government, the local authority just says, no, you can't do that. So they're being told to diversify on the one hand and then told we can't diversify by local planners.
You know they're wiping out farmland. You know, they're telling you farming is the number one cause of the climate crisis, but how are they keeping that farmer from using his land? Because, see, there, one of the sneaky laws is, well, you have to register what you plant, which they're working on here. You have to register what you plant. Oh, you want government subsidies? We have this nice little subsidy. We'll give you a farm loan, but you've got to agree to the terms. You have to tell us what you're planting, when you're planting. You need our approval. Do you see how it works? Nothing's hidden anymore.
Why would you mess with the farmers? You're going to get food shortages. Why would you discourage people from growing food? That seems strange.
There is a global attack on farming going on, and all of this, of course, is happening under the banner, under the pretext of saving the planet. They say it's about climate change. Farming is now being pointed at as the main cause of it, and that's why they're saying that they now need to get rid of these tax breaks for diesel, because diesel is bad and farming is bad, etc. But it's obviously obviously ridiculous. I mean, I think that the elites in our countries have completely forgotten where their food comes from. These farmers work 24/7. They provide us with our daily meals. And the only thing that they say is, leave us alone. Let us do our job. The government needs to step down. We are sick and tired of being unwanted. We are sick and tired of being unheard. And we want to be able to continue to do our jobs without being taxed into oblivion by an establishment that doesn't have our interests at heart.
So in case you didn't know, in Idaho, they've restricted water. In many places, they've put a dust restriction. Compliments of Obama. It's dust. It's dust. That means you pay a tax for tilling your land. Well, all of these taxes go up while they pay down. What they do is they're starving out the farmers. And then they reduce the water. So you can't grow. And it keeps on compounding and it keeps on compounding. And isn't it interesting? Factory food pops up all at the same time. Billions of dollars of plants being built. Do you think that's a coincidence? It's all by design.
What's important to know is that just like with the Dutch farmers' protest, there is a sort of a structure to the attack on farming that isn't just on a national level. There's definitely, as you said, there's a European Green Deal that we're working with, which is pushed forward by unelected bureaucrats. In this case, forgive me, but a Dutchman, Frans Timmermans, who is the mastermind or the evil mastermind, I would say, behind the European Green Deal. And then in every national country, there is a different set of policies that is used to target the specific farming groups, right? So in the Netherlands, when we last talked, Jordan, about the farmers' protests there, I told you that it was about nitrogen, right? The courts ruled in the Netherlands that we are facing a nitrogen crisis. They are using European legislation for that to get rid of our farmers. And here in Germany, what the mainstream will tell you was the main reason why the farmers now were particularly angry, or what sparked these protests, was the elimination of tax breaks on agricultural diesel. And the backstory to that is that the German government doesn't have their finances in check and has a huge hole in their budget, and was also trying to fill that gap. And they said, well, let's go after what they call klimafeindliche, subventionen, so climate unfriendly subsidies. And so they said, we need to cut back on the tax break that the farmers get for agricultural diesel, which those taxes normally only involve diesel for people who go out on the road. That's what that tax is for. And farmers obviously just use it on their own land. So the fact that they came after the farmers now and tried to, fill their own gap in their own budget due to their own mismanagement, and they target now the people that provide us with our daily meals, that initially sparked a lot of anger. But I would say, and I think you would probably agree with me, Anthony, is that there is a general sentiment within the German population that was very much reflected at these protests, of just feeling like the German government, and not just the German government, also the Dutch government and European Union, is constantly acting contrary to the interests of ordinary people who in fact pay their salaries because they are taxed already into oblivion, right? So the general theme that we constantly heard there was a slogan basically saying the government needs to go, right? This wasn't just about these tax breaks. This was really a general dismay, great dismay with the federal German government and the policies that they stand for.
Now, let's put all of this into context. Do not think this is coming. This is here. Do not think this is coming. This is already here. Do not think it's for the environment. It is 100% to get everybody en masse to surrender. Now, let me change the topic. Let me tell you what happens when people get their shit together, right? And I've shown you all over, right? They sold this white colonization crap in Africa. They perfected it. They brought it here. That's where they did the test bed. Right now, you got Africa starving again. They killed the white farmers en masse. Nobody can grow, but look how much they still have growing and in storage. That's not what this is about. It's about pushing everybody down. Equality is not bringing people up. Equality is pushing everything down to here. But they understand if they can control the food supply, they can control you. Now, all I'm suggesting to you is become ungovernable. Because I want to let you know, only you can do it. You have to become ungovernable. Now, let me tell you, when America again pitched in, got their crap together, okay? And I've talked about this before, but I want to remind you. I just want to remind you. During World War I, there was a massive global shortage of food. And why was that? Because Europe was caught in war. So the farmers, the agricultural workers, were drafted into military service and went from the plow field to the battlefield. Now, what happened is millions of people in Europe were starving. Millions. My family, part of it. As you know, I'm only first-generation American. And as millions were starving, America answered the call. And you're right, Jimmy, diversity, equity, and inclusion is a con job to get us all to control. That's it. It's a con job to subjugate us, period. So in World War I, the globe, the planet was suffering. Europe, millions of people in serious starvation issues. Americans answered the call. Now, you might not know this, but Americans answered the call, and Americans fixed it for the world. Now, how did we fix it for the world? Well, in 1917, March 1917, just before the United States entered the war, and Patriot lady, I see families have done that. Grandma put all her children in an orphanage just to survive. It still happens to this day. Anyway, 1917, in March of 1917, just weeks before America got involved in World War I, we created something in America called the National War Garden Commission. And we basically said to citizens, become a warrior, join this army in planting gardens. And so what happened is it encouraged Americans like you and I to contribute to what was ailing us by planting a garden. So America got behind the idea that, okay, we as American will grow gardens because we can. We'll grow gardens to feed ourselves, but production gardens, meaning the mass farms and stuff, the mass farms, we'll let all of the mass farm food be shipped overseas so millions don't starve. In other words, tell you what, we'll get off the tit of the system in grocery stores. Now, remember, we were really close It wasn't that long that grocery stores kind of came into being, right? So we were still close to our origins, the way that God gave us all these abilities to do. So we were still close to that ancient knowledge. And so Americans as a whole says, okay, tell you what, we'll stop buying from the stores production food. You take production food and you send it to Europe to feed people. We'll plant our gardens. And so what happened is Americans all across the country started utilizing idle land that was not already engaged in commercial agricultural production, which means they planted schoolyards, they planted company grounds at your workplace, they planted backyards, they planted vacant lots everywhere. Now, remember, I've done a program on it. Right now going on in your homeowners associations is they're writing homeowner association laws that you can't plant a garden. And in other states, they're saying, hey, register your garden, we'll give you free training. They're trying to find out right now where all the gardens are. If you live in a suburban neighborhood, they're trying very hard. You got to look at your homeowners rules. Because if you plant a garden, they can fine you. Don't pay the fine, they take your house, you're gone. But back in 1917, Americans got their crap together and says, okay, we're going to plant gardens. And they planted them everywhere. And the word became, and there were posters called Sow the Seeds of Victory. And they called it a war garden, which is what it was originally called, the war garden movement. And it eventually became what's called as a victory garden. And people started realizing, holy crap, we can do this on. Let's go back to the basics. We know how to do this. We can prevent disease in our crops, and we can do it. So here's what happened. Our government, the Federal Bureau of Education, now think what we got right now. The Federal Bureau of Education wants you to take your little boys, cut their wankers off, call them girls. But back then, they created what was called the U.S. School Garden Army. They literally went in schools and they taught American children, even in the inner cities, how to garden, and they turned them in to soldiers of the soil. Now they're soldiers of the soil, but they turned them into soldiers of the soil. And so what happened is during that time in 1917, 3 million new garden plots in the United States were planted. 3 million. By the time 1918 rolled around during the war, there were 5.2 million of these garden plots. And what happened is it ended up producing 1.45 million quarts of canned fruits and vegetables. Remember, we canned then, right? We dehydrated. And so all of a sudden, this concept of victory gardens, war gardens, took off. I have always told you, folks, we are at war, and all I have done is brought back the war garden bigger, better, with knowledge we know now. And instead of in schools where we should be teaching people to do this, and we should be having freedom gardens in this time of war, they're teaching our kids, well, if you think you're a cat, then we're going to do a litter box in the hallway for you. I want you to think about that. But this is the reason I did this book. This became so successful, it helped save from famine most of Europe. Now, just so you know, this repeated itself 40 years later, 30 plus years later, in the Second World War. And once again, because we're getting our asses kicked, people re-engaged, right? And the government says, look, it's 1942. We've got to do what it is. And so people once again started planting anything they could find, from small flower boxes to apartment rooftops, backyards, deserted lots of any type. And they started planting victory gardens. You know, stuff like beans and beets and cabbage and kale and kohlrabi and lettuce and peas and tomatoes and turnips and squash and all this other stuff. During that particular time, in 1942, 15 million American families answered that call. By 1944, it had grown to 20 million American families had answered that call. And we produced 8 million tons of food at home. We as people outproduced what the system produced, because we took personal responsibility. Now, I share this with you because one of the things they noticed is people felt included. People felt patriotic. People felt like, I'm doing something. I'm fighting back against this corrupt system. But right now in the world, they are teaching everywhere in schools that gardening is what's creating climate change, and it's wasteful, so the government needs to come in and control it. Do you understand what's going on? And do not think this is coming, folks. It's here. It's done. They did it with the stroke of a pen. They have always known this. They have always deployed lawfare.
I learned, I think I was, 22 when I started that work. I learned that with the swipe of my pen, I could charge someone with the lowest level offense. And because of the swipe of my pen, that person could be arrested. They could sit in jail for at least 48 hours. They could lose time from work, and their family maybe lose their job. They'd have to come out of their own pocket to help hire a lawyer. They'd lose standing in their community. All because of the swipe of my pen. Weeks later, I could dismiss the charges, but their life would forever be changed. So I learned at a very young age.
There's no doubt that there's a real attack on farmers happening on every corner of this planet, which logically poses one very obvious question.
If you get rid of the farmers, you still need to eat something, especially protein, right?
Maybe they don't want the food production like it is right now. We produce potatoes, and we produce milk, and we produce meat, and maybe there's a government who doesn't want us to eat anymore that kind of food.
Instead turn to what?
Oh, insects, bugs, I don't know.
Today, the European Commission has officially declared mealworms to be food. It could be a game changer for insect farmers. They're now hoping to grow their businesses and turn insects into another source of protein for Europeans, even if just a niche one.
There's this top-down globalist idea that certain Western countries have diets that they do not approve of. In other words, they're more meat-based, and they feel that humans don't need meat-based protein. And they want to either force people to follow their paradigms, or they want to buy or accumulate farmland, and that's how they're going to farm it. It's sort of like the Soviet Union or Mao's Cultural Revolution. It's top-down, and it results in disasters.
The UN Food and Agriculture Organization in 2013, they put out this very bizarre report, and they said we need Westerners to start eating bugs, right? And that wasn't on anybody's radar. We didn't eat bugs. That's disgusting. And so they said we need a massive propaganda campaign in the media to convince them that they're going to save the planet. Well, we're seeing that. NPR, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, the BBC, even Fox News, right? They've been peddling this idea that bugs are delicious and nutritious. Now you got all these celebrities eating bugs and teaching people that it's trendy and cool to eat bugs. And as we speak, they are right now building the largest insect protein processing facility on the planet outside Decatur, Illinois. They're building another one up in Canada. They know there's not really demand for bugs right now, right? How many Americans do you know that are clamoring for cricket sandwiches, right? Practically none. And so I expect that as these food shortages develop, as the price of staples goes through the roof, people will say, okay, I'm really hungry. My kids are really hungry. I can't afford a steak anymore. So, all right, I'll eat your stupid crickets.
Investors don't push billions and billions and billions and billions into these plants just hoping the business will come about. They do it because they know it's going to happen. Their investment is secured. And all the governments have agreed to this and signed it into law. It's just we learned this too late. But it's coming. You swear you won't eat bugs, it's already in your food. You swear you won't eat bugs, it's already in your flours, your pasta. It's coming. So they can flip the switch and say, well, you've already been eating it. We just named it something else. And it's all because what?
You now make a point of that's an investment criteria for you.
Well, behaviors are going to have to change, and this is one thing we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors.
And these guys have been forcing behaviors on us. Period. So what do? If we can save all of Europe with just us Americans planting gardens, don't you understand we can save our own ass? If you eat bugs, which they say, and you'll love it. Let me tell you why you'll love it. Because they're going to starve your ass down. Your kids will be screaming and crying, just like I showed you videos. There won't be anything to eat. And so they'll basically say, well, here's bugs. You can eat this. And you will think it is freaking great. Because you have some food. That's what they mean. But so few people look at the total picture. I've only shown you a fraction of this. I could do a brand new episode twice a day for weeks and never show you the same stuff. This is everywhere all at once. It is not a coincidence, folks. I'm asking you to become ungovernable. Stop worrying about the system. Stop worrying about the lawmakers to fix this. Just fix it for yourself. You might say, well, I got a small backyard. This is knowledge. They can't take the knowledge away. Well, maybe you don't have a backyard, but maybe your brother's got a plot of land and, hey, I got the book and let's do this and let's make sure we feed ourselves. Or eventually, folks, we're going to become the food. Because before they start feeding you bugs, everything has to fall out and people are going to start eating people. And I know that sounds weird, but it happens. I gave you what happened in Leningrad. If 77,000 bombs only killed 50,000 people, but when they just said, screw it, we'll starve you, and that killed 600,000 people. That was one city, folks. All of this stuff you see going on is by design. History is repeating itself. But it's too late when it's too late. And that's the bitch of mankind. We tend to wait till it's too late. Don't wait till it's too late. I love you all. Save yourself, save your family, because it's up to you. Be ungovernable.
This crazy world is telling you your sons can be daughters and your daughters can be your sons. When will the madness stop? Never. So you have to decide, will you comply or defy? They tell us all, you will own nothing, eat bugs, and be happy. Is this why America's largest food processing plants and food supply plants keep burning down? Do you really think this is a coincidence? Of course not. The system is telling us right to our faces what they have planned for us. You have a choice. Comply or simply defy their plan for us all. Defy the system's plan and execute your own plan. Abundant, safe, secure natural food supply. Introducing the Food Forest Bible. This bestseller by Jovan Hutton Pulitzer is the single most complete, executable, easy-to-follow plan for sustainable, self-managing food production for self-sufficiency and food security. For the first time ever, a coffee table, heirloom quality full color book which unlocks the ancient secrets of creating a food forest. Imagine planting in a way which requires no digging, no pesticides, and creates massive ancient food abundance. No fooling. Food forests are the ancient secret to planning and planting once. And have your own Garden of Eden, which will feed your families for decade after decade. Buck the system. Buck the New World Order and order your very own copy of Jovan Hutton Pulitzer's Food Forest Bible. Learn how to create a sustainable, self-managing, natural food production for self-sufficiency and food security for your family. Side yard, small yard, backyard, backlot, or even lots of acres, the Food Forest Bible works for everyone. Order on Amazon, hardcover, softcover, or ebook. Don't comply. Expertly defy the system.
Most people are afraid to stand up and speak out, but not you. You've been learning how to tell the system to cut the crap. What can I do to help save the America I love? And the answer is, learn how to fight back and tell the system to cut the crap. Cut the Crap's not just a radio program, it's a movement. The right kind of movement, which breaks free the conservative constipation and reminds you that you are the majority, and we're just not gonna take it anymore. Make sure you're following Jovan Hutton Pulitzer on all social media. See you next week, and between now and then, take a stand and tell them all to cut the crap.